Hey everyone, and welcome to a guide for Tunic. This time we're going to be learning how to translate the Tunic language step by step, so let's get started. After playing any amount of Tunic, you will have come across the runic language that's used throughout the world and in the game manual. This is generally called Tunic. It's not essential to figure out the translation in order to complete the game, but it's a nice challenge, it will give you some interesting insights, and will help with various secrets and puzzles. As you might expect, there'll be some spoilers within this guide, and I'll be going through step by step, so feel free to stop or pause the video at any point if you want to continue solving the puzzle by yourself. One final warning for spoilers, and now we'll jump right in. The first step to understanding the language is found on page 54 of the game manual, where you'll find 42 symbols that resemble the runes you will have seen, seemingly split into the 18 in the top 3 rows and the 24 in the bottom 4 rows. You'll also see a couple of sets of symbols to the right of these, and a couple of pictures. The first symbols are next to a picture of a fox, and the second symbols are next to a picture of a sword. So we can make the assumption that these two sets of symbols are the translations for these words. If you look closely, you can also see that the last symbol of fox and part of the first symbol of sword are circled. This gives us a hint of how the language is structured. If you say the words aloud, then you may realise that the link between the end of fox and the start of sword is the s sound. So we can now make the assumption that each of these 42 symbols on the left are sounds in the English language, otherwise known as phonemes. As a side note, if you look up the phonemes of the English language, you'll find that there are 44 of them, split into 24 consonants and 20 vowels. This is slightly more than the number of symbols that we see here, but the fact that there's 24 consonant phonemes and we have 24 symbols in the bottom 4 rows on page 54 gives us a good sign that we're on the right track. Now, if we return to the word fox, if we split it into phonemes, then we get 4. F, or, k, s. Now we can assign each of these phonemes to the 4 symbols for fox, and that's our first 4 solved. We can do the same with sword, splitting it into s, or, d. We already have the s phoneme, but the other 2 are new. You may have noticed that the consonant phonemes have all been in the bottom 4 rows of the full set, and the vowel phonemes have been in the top 3 rows, confirming our earlier assumption. If we have another look at fox, we see that although there's 4 phonemes, there's only 3 final symbols, with the first symbol being a combination of the 2 phonemes above it, 1 consonant and 1 vowel. The other 2 consonants are not combined. We see the same thing with sword. The first symbol is a combination of a consonant and a vowel phoneme, and the second symbol is a consonant by itself. This gives us a little more insight into how the runes are written, as you'd never be able to translate a word if you could have multiple consonants or vowels overlapping each other on a single symbol. So it looks like each symbol consists of up to 1 vowel and 1 consonant phoneme, but can also be just one of either if you have multiple of one in a row, like with fox. Before we move to another page, compare the symbols for fox and sword to the box at the bottom of the page. You can see that the symbols have a line through the middle of them when written. There's also gaps in the line, potentially indicating the end of one word and start of the next. Now that we have some basic understanding of how the language works, we pretty much just need to fill in all the gaps in the phonemes. So far we have 6 out of 42. The best way to fill these gaps is by finding words in Tunic where we know what they'd be in English. We can also use a list of English phonemes to help us figure out which ones we might have left and which ones we're deciphering. If we go to page 52, you'll see an odd collection of Tunic runes at the bottom of the page. However, you may have noticed this same set of symbols before on page 34. On this page, it's clearer that it looks like a compass, with north, east, south and west. You can also see these symbols appear in each corner of the map on this page, and if you follow the symbols on the compass, the top left would be northwest, top right would be northeast, and so on, confirming that this is likely a compass. However, if we start with north, splitting this into phonemes gives us n or th, which is 3 phonemes, but we only see the symbols for 2. Nonetheless, if we write the consonant and vowel parts separately, you'll see that the vowel is something we've already discovered, the or phoneme. It seems like a safe assumption that the consonant part is the n phoneme, and that the other compass directions will just contain the first consonant and vowel. If we move on to east next, splitting this out gives us e, s, t. So we can expect to see e, s. We already have the phoneme for s, so the other part must be E. However, so far we've always had the consonant part come first, followed by the vowel part. So this looks like S-E rather than E-S. This is also the first time we've seen this little circle at the bottom of the rune, and this doesn't appear on any of the 42 runes on page 54, so we can assume it's not part of the phonemes and is another part of the language. For now, we can make the assumption that when the circle is there, the vowel phoneme appears before the consonant, but we'll see if we can confirm this later on. If we go through the same process with south and west, we'll pick up a few more phonemes of ow, w, e, and we'll be up to 11 out of 42. Now we need to find more Tunic words that we might know the English translation of. You may have noticed that the symbol in the middle of page 34 also appeared somewhere else we recently looked, page 52. If we head back there, you'll see 4 more runes circled, with each one pointing to one of the directions of the compass. Another minor spoiler here, but you also notice that this compass is located next to a Holy Cross code, something that takes directional inputs, so it's safe to assume that these runes represent up, down, left and right. Again, there's only a single rune for each direction, so we can expect just the first consonant and vowel of each word. We've encountered 3 of the phonemes in these runes before, so we can use these to confirm our suspicions. The bottom rune is made up of the phonemes d and ow, which are the first 2 of the word down. Looks like we're on the right track. So we can go through the same process of splitting out these runes into their individual parts, giving us the phonemes a, p, r, I and l, putting us at 16 out of 42. You may have noticed that the rune for up had the circle at the bottom of it, and this is another case of the vowel phoneme appearing before the consonant, confirming what we assumed earlier. This is also confirmed on page 21, where there's a very confused fox deep in thought. We don't have all the phonemes to translate this just yet, but the writing below the thought bubble is enough to show us that when the small circle appears, you swap the order of the runes. Somewhere else where we may know a good amount of the words is on the controls page, page 12. There's several buttons here that we should be able to guess their Tunic translation, and you can start anywhere. It's generally good practice to just start writing out the runes and splitting them up, then seeing what phonemes you already have. You can also get extra help by looking at the Customize Controls section in the Pause menu. If you look at the right trigger, RT, we already have the final 3 phonemes out of 4, so we can quite happily assume we're missing sh to make the word shield. Next, if we look at RB, we now have 4 out of 5. Again, we can guess this says potion and get another phoneme. We're now on 18 out of 42, and from here, to save a little time, I'll just say which words are translated and what new phonemes we get. Looking at the left stick, this is move, giving us the m, u, v phonemes. Looking at the X, Y and B buttons, this translates to use item, giving us the y, z, t phonemes. The LT translates to focus, which we have everything for, but the box below it translates to focus is crucial, giving us the I, U phonemes. That's everything that we'll get from page 12. There are other phonemes we haven't deciphered from this page, but they're not the easiest translations, so instead we're going to go to page 13. In the red banner at the top, next to the button, it translates to button, giving us the B phoneme. The other part of the red banner translates to this button has many uses, one is secret, but if you read this book, you will learn it. This gives us the th, h, a, and phonemes. Now if we look at the top right of the 4 boxes on the page, which is marked by the word roll in the blue part, the first part of this translates to press to roll, which we don't learn anything from, but the next part translates to very, very important for surviving, which gives us the air phoneme from very and the from surviving. Next, the bubble in the top right box translates to you cannot be hit at the start of a roll, and we get the R phoneme from the word start. The bottom left box links us to page 24 and has an unknown phoneme in the blue part of the box. If we look at page 24, then we can see the same unknown phoneme in the thought bubble above the fox. This makes it clearer that the translation for the thought bubble is praying, which gives us the A phoneme and puts us at 35 out of 42. Now we can jump back to page 14, which details focus. The runes below face your adversaries translate to hold this to focus on a nearby enemy, which gives us the ear phoneme. Turn over to page 15, which details stamina points. The first sentence on the left, after stamina points, translates to represents your poise and strength to perform certain actions, giving us the oi and th phonemes from poise and strength. The next sentence translates to when you evade or perform other moves, your stamina points go down, giving us the g phoneme. If we move over to the moments of safety box, this translates to at the start of evasion, you have invulnerability briefly, so evade at just the right moment, which gives us the zh and j phonemes from evasion and just. This also takes us up to 41 out of 42 phonemes. For the final phoneme, we look over to page 16 and the orange warning box. The title of this box translates to watch out, giving us our final phoneme, ch. So there we have it. We've found all 42 phonemes and now have the ability to translate any Tunic that we might come across throughout the manual and the world. Again, a reminder that this is just the way I've done it, and there are many different pages and words that you can use in order to find all the phonemes. So feel free to go through the process of decoding the language in any way you see fit. If you found this useful, then feel free to like, subscribe, or check out my channel for more Tunic content. But that's everything for this time, so thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.